AMD 7800X3D versus Intel Core Ultra 7 270K gaming benchmarks across 6 titles. See frames per second numbers, power draw, platform costs, and which CPU wins for your build right now. We tested both CPUs with an RTX 4080 at 1080p Ultra to isolate CPU performance, then ran 1440p high tests to see how the gap narrows when GPU bound. Each title ran for 10-minute sessions with frame time logging. All tests used DDR5 6000 CL30 memory, identical cooling, Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 360, and the latest BIOS drivers as of January 2020. 1080e Ultra 7800X3D averaged 298 frames per second, 270K hit 264 frames per second. The 3D V-cache advantage shows clearly in Warzone's asset streaming. 1440p high narrowed the gap to 12 frames per second, 251 versus 239, but the 7800X3D stayed ahead. Frame time consistency favored AMD with a 0.4 milliseconds tighter 99th percentile, 1080p. Performance 7800X3D peaked at 4. Power efficiency matters if you're running a smaller PSU or care about monthly electricity costs. We measured socket power during the Cyberpunk benchmark run using H+INFO64 with 1 second polling. The 7800X3D pulled 74 watts average, spiking to 89 watts during shader compilation. The 270K drew 142 watts average with spikes to 178 watts under AVX2 workloads. That's nearly double the power draw for similar gaming performance. Intel's improved efficiency claims apply to laptop chips and the lower-tier Core Ultra 5 models. The 270K still runs hot and hungry compared to AMD's 3D V-cache parts. Thermals with a 360mm AIO, 7800X3D peaked at 71 degrees Celsius during extended sessions, idled around 38 degrees Celsius. The 270K hit 81 degrees Celsius. See, PU price alone doesn't tell the full story. You need a motherboard, cooler, and potentially new RAM. Here's what a realistic build costs with each platform as of January 7800X3D, 389 CPU plus 180 B650 board, Gen DDR5 6000 32GB kit, each 679 core platform. Core Ultra 7 270K $399, CPU $220, Z890 disk board so $110, DDR5 6000 32GB kit il 729 core platform. Cooler, both CPUs need aftermarket cooling. Budget $50 $80 for a tower cooler or $100 $140 for a 240mm AIO. The 270K's platform costs $50 more upfront because Z890 boards command a premium as Intel's newest socket. B650 boards have been on shelves for over a year. This comparison focuses on gaming, but if you stream, edit, or render, the performance gap shifts. Cinebench R23 multi-core 7800X3D scores points. 270K hits. 24 to 100 points. The 270K's higher boost clocks and improved IPC give it a 32% lead in all core workloads. For Blender renders, video encoding in Premiere, or compile times in Visual Studio, the 270K is faster. If you split your time 50-50 between gaming and productivity, that multi-core advantage might justify the higher power draw and platform cost. If you game 90% of the time and occasionally export a YouTube video, the 7800X3D's gaming lead and lower power bill win out. The 7800X the 3D is locked. No manual core multiplier adjustment because the 3D V-cache stack is sensitive to voltage. You can tune Curve Optimizer for slightly lower temps or enable PBO for marginal gains, but expect 2 to 4% performance uplift at most. AMD designed this chip to run optimally out of the box. The 270K is fully unlocked on Z890 boards. You can push all-core overclocks to 5.8 to 5.9 GHz with adequate cooling, gaining 5 to 8% in multi-core benchmarks. Gaming frames per second gains are smaller, 2 to 5%, because most titles don't scale linearly with clock speed beyond 5.5 GHz. Overclocking the 270K adds another 30 to 50 watts to power draw and pushes thermals into the mid-80s degrees C even. Buy the 7800X3D if you prioritize gaming frames per second above all else. You want lower power draw and quieter thermals. You're building an ITX system or using a smaller PSU. You plan to keep the motherboard and upgrade to a future Ryzen 9000 X3D chip. You play cache-sensitive titles like CS2, Warzone, or Bethesda RPGs. Buy the Core Ultra 7 270K if you split time between gaming and heavy productivity workloads, rendering, compiling, streaming at high bit rates. You want the newest platform and the option to overclock manually. You already own a high-wattage PSU, 850 watts plus, and robust cooling. You play titles that favor high single-thread clocks over cache, i.e. Fortnite Performance Mode. Build your free playbook for any GPU at BetterFPS.com/optimize.